Good evening, everybody. Hello. Can you hear me? Yeah, there's a slight echo, I feel. Hello. Okay, just give me a sec. I will just log off and log in. Szen, can you just unmute and speak?
Yes, Szen. Yeah, I'm also getting a call.
Archana, can you remove the slide presentation probably?
Szen, I think now it's fine. Now it's fine, yeah.
All right, okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for registering and attending this International Online Management Development Program, MDPs, on Linux automation, cloud and DevOps, ChatGPT integrated, hosted by the PG Department of Computer Applications and the Internal Quality Cell, IQAC, of Marian College Kuttikkanam Autonomous, in association with Red Hat, IPSR Solutions Limited, and Valin, UK, USA, and Canada. We would like to welcome the managers, directors, and principals, vice principals of all colleges, representatives from college management, HODs, IQAC coordinators, placement officers, RHA managers, faculty members, working professionals, students, all of my MDP. This is there will be 3 MDPs in this series, and this is the first of the MDP. This is MDP number 1. This MDP is on basic Linux system administration using ChatGPT. Okay, this is the second day of the MDP on 14th. Now we have the next of this first MDP on the 17th. That is on Monday, from 17 to 21 July 2023. Okay. Now, MDP number 2, that is MDP on Advanced System Administration and Containerization using ChatGPT. For that, the dates will be from 8 to 11, 14, 16, 17 August 2023. Okay, that is in the next month. Okay, and we have a third MDP in this series, the MDP of ChatGPT. The dates of which will be 6, 7, 8, 11 to 14 September 2023. That's the month after. Okay. Now, along with this, with the online sessions, we have the LMS, Learning Management System. That LMS has access to each video and content for the RSCSA SA1 topics for this MDP. Okay. Also, the feedback form and the certificate will be available in the LMS. Okay, and you can download the certificate from the LMS. Okay, so this won't be sent to you separately. Okay, now to get the access to the LMS, okay, you have to pay a processing fee. This processing fee will include fee for the MDP 30 onwards, that is LMS access and the processing of certificates. You have to pay an amount of 500 rupees for this MDP, or you pay 1,600 for all the 3 MDPs. Okay, online to the account details, that which I will put in the chat. Okay, and you need to share the given in the chat. Now, also you have to mention your registered email and for which MDP in the WhatsApp message. Okay. Now, if you wish to pay for the upcoming 2 MDPs, you completing the payment by tomorrow, you will get a 20% discount. That is, you just have to pay 1,600 rupees. And for those who have already paid for the first MDP, you just have to pay 1,100. Okay. So by completing the payment by tomorrow, you get a 20% discount for all the 3 MDPs. Okay. Now, my name is Szen 𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐴. I'm the Global Relations Manager with IPSR Solutions Limited, and I will be the event moderator. Now, we will move on to today's session. Today's session will be delivered by St. John Providence. He's the resource person for today, and he's the subject expert. He will be delivering the RHCI Manager, Technical Services, IPSR Solutions Limited. He is a Red Hat certified architect and a Red Hat certified instructor with 15 plus years in the IT industry. He completed his MSc in computer networking from London Metropolitan University. His expertise is in cloud computing, Ansible, etc. It makes him a very popular person as a corporate trainer and has trained candidates from different places like Americas, Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific. He's got global IT certifications in Red Hat certified system as a Red Hat certified system specialist in OpenShift administration, Red Hat certified specialist in container and Kubernetes, Red Hat certified engineer, and he's also a Red Hat certified system administrator. Now, over to you, Szen.
Yeah, thank you, Szen. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Szen, can you just increase the volume a bit, if you can?
Can you hear me now? What about now?
Yeah, better.
Okay, okay. I'm going to share my screen as well. Could you please confirm that? I started sharing my screen.
Yeah, that is visible, sir.
Okay, okay. Yeah, thank you, Szen. Yeah, thank you for the introduction as well. Yeah. Okay, good evening, everyone. And thank you everyone for joining this session. I hope you had a wonderful session yesterday as well. That's related to Linux automation, Ansible Lightspeed. Yeah. So today, I'm going to give you some overview about, as Szen mentioned, we have planned 3 MDPs. One is happening on this month, and second MDP is on next month, and the MDP3 is on September. So I'm going to give you an overview about each MDPs, and also I would like to show some demonstration which will help you to understand the outcomes of each MDP, because you may have questions like, okay, what are the objective of this MDPs and what are the outcomes? I mean, the practical outcomes, and also what kind of skill set you're going to get after completing each MDPs. So that I would like to demonstrate with some practical scenarios. Yeah, and I'm planning to make this section more interactive so that you can clear all your doubts related to each MDPs. So the first MDP, basic Linux system administration. Yeah, using ChatGPT. Yes, I hope you all already heard about ChatGPT, one of the popular AI tools. If you are not created any account in ChatGPT, yeah, I will help you with that. So in first MDP, you are going to get a basics about Linux administration, because the point is we need to get the skill set on DevOps cloud. So before starting with the DevOps tools or DevOps methodology, yeah, so that is the final discussion or final session on MDP3. So before getting introduced with the DevOps methodology or DevOps tools, we must have the basics about operating system, not a client operating system, a server class operating system, because most of the emerging technologies are running on top of Linux-based operating system. So to start with basic Linux administration, then advanced Linux administration, that is MDP2, and containerization, that is one of the latest technology which is used for deploying applications, which is one of the DevOps concept as well. Then in third MDP, we automate whatever administration we do as manually in L1 and L2. We call it as L1 and L2 here because this is L1 Linux administration, and MDP2 is for L2, level 2 Linux administration. Here we do manual administration. For example, we take one example of a Linux task or a general task like setting up a web server. So for setting up a web server, we need to follow some certain tasks, set of steps for making that possible. Just for a one web server, yeah, we can do it manually. But what about running thousands or 10,000s of servers? Because we are in the era of microservices. So maybe we can manually manage these services, maybe less than 10 or maximum up to 100 services. We can manage it manually, but we are managing, or we are supposed to manage, thousands of servers. But the time is important. So if you take 1 hour to manage one server, I mean manually, and if you have the responsibility to manage 1,000 servers, so how much time it's going to take manually? So that kind of task, I mean, the repeated task, either it can be a repeating task or the same task you are running in n number of servers. N number of servers, it can be 10,000 or 10,000 servers or more than that. So we are looking for a technology or a tool which will help us to accomplish the same task in thousands of servers or more than that with same time which we spend on a single task in a single server. So here we use automation. So Linux automation using Ansible. So that is MDP3. So in MDP1, we use ChatGPT for learning purpose. So we just interact with ChatGPT to learn Linux basics. For example, we'll start with from Monday onwards. So next week we start with the file system, how the file system is designed in Linux. So I will interact with ChatGPT. So what is file system in Linux? Or I will act as a beginner. So I will act as a Linux beginner, so that ChatGPT will understand that, okay, so the person who is chatting is just a beginner or doesn't have any idea about Linux or open source. So then ChatGPT will act as an instructor for a beginner. So when I ask file system in Linux or file system management in Linux, it will explain like that way. So we are going to see that in a demo session. So file system management in Linux, then text editors. So usually we use graphical editors, right? Because we we use client operating system. So I'm using a client operating system in my laptop. So that is for interaction. So the client operating systems are most useful for a client user. For example, we use Gmail, we use social medias like Facebook, Instagram, or we use WhatsApp, right? So we use client devices to interact with servers. So when you scroll Facebook or Instagram, we are using a device just to interact with the application which is running in servers. So in these MDPs, we are going to discuss about server class operating system, not the client one. So we already familiar with client operating system. So the servers like database servers, web servers, or DHCP DNS, there are many more technical based servers which will help the client or database, etc. So with the help of ChatGPT, we interact with ChatGPT. We get the help from ChatGPT to understand what is basic Linux administration and advanced Linux administration. So in these two MDPs, we use ChatGPT for learning, but in MDP 3, we use ChatGPT for learning and practical implementation. So I'm just trying to explain my experience with this learning part, because I started with the learning Linux. So that is manual administration. So if I want to set up a web server, so I have to manually type the command for that. So step 1, step 2, step 3, like that way. And if I assign to do the same task in another server, yes, I have to repeat this. So if it is 10 servers, yes, I have to repeat the manual administration step by step. But when it comes to the automation, I can make a script for that. We call it as a playbook. So we can run this playbook anytime we want. So with the help of this playbook, we can deploy n number of web servers, depends on the resource availability. So these are the topics, or these are the main key points we are going to cover in these 3 MDPs. So MDP 1 and 2 for manual administration, MDP 3 for automation, MDP 1 and 2 for understanding the Linux manual administration, and MDP 3 for learning Ansible, how to use Ansible to automate Linux tasks. So we use ChatGPT for learning Ansible, learning common Linux tasks, how to automate common Linux tasks using Ansible, and also we use ChatGPT to create playbooks. We call it as scripts, which will help us to automate. So these are the overview about MDP 1, 2, 3. Okay, just trying to interact with ChatGPT. Yeah, this is the window of ChatGPT. So if you never use ChatGPT, I will share this link in the chat box. So can you please type in the chat box, have you used ChatGPT before? Just type yes or no, Y or N. So we'll try to make it more interactive. Yes. Okay. So I've got some replies. Yes. Okay. Okay, I can see some no's as well. So not a problem. I can help you with that. Because the main objective of today's session is to make you ready for attending the next week 5 days MDP sessions. Because next week is completely we are going to see how ChatGPT will help us to learn Linux level 1 administration. But before that, we have to ready with ChatGPT account, AWS account. I'm not forcing to create AWS, but if you can, you can try with the AWS free tier account. That link also I will be sharing in the chat box. After some demo. So if you are never logged into ChatGPT, you can use this link to join. You don't have to sign up. You can just use any email ID to log into ChatGPT. So once you log in, you will get a window like this. So I'm just trying to interact with ChatGPT. So I'm just mentioning I am a beginner in Linux. So I got a reply. So what to do with the learning basic Linux? Okay, so the first step is choose a Linux distribution, because Linux is an open source operating system. So if you look into open source world, you can see maybe thousands of Linux distribution, because you can create your own Linux version, because Linux is open source. So to start with Linux learning, choose a Linux distribution. So in these MDPs, I'm going to demonstrate this Linux learning using a Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So you may ask question like, okay, there are different distributions, then why I chose that Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So the name itself says the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So we know open source concept, so which is freely available. So freedom to customize and redistribute. But for enterprise customers, they need support as well. So for most of the enterprise customers, they prefer Red Hat Enterprise Linux for running their applications or setting up their servers. So I choose a Red Hat Enterprise Linux server here. Then we need to set up a Linux system or lab. So you can set up in your machine, but the problem is you may need some more computing power, like more CPUs, more RAM. But I suggest to set up a AWS account, which is freely available. So that also I'll share the link in the chat box. Or you can just search for AWS free tier, free cloud computing services. So why I recommend AWS, or why I recommend any kind of AWS platform? Because you are using a client operating system. Your system may be configured with 4 CPU, I mean 1 or 2 CPU with the minimum amount of memory required to run, that is 4 GB or maximum 8 GB, which is not enough to manage servers. So to set up a lab in your system, I mean your client personal computer, you may need more resources, or you may need to upgrade your devices. But that is not required here. So we have cloud providers like AWS, GCP, Azure, etc. So you can sign up with this account freely for 1 year. So if you click on learn more about free tier, here it says 750 hours free tier, 12 months free, 750 hours, Amazon EC2. It's just like you are getting a remote machine the remote machine is running somewhere in the world, and you are getting a dashboard interaction to that server, which is running in any one of the data center in AWS. So when you use AWS or any kind of cloud-based instances, we use the term instance, or generally we call it virtual machines, but in cloud, we use the term instance. So we can connect this to this instance using some protocols like SSH, but don't worry, these protocols and networking things we will be covering in coming MDPs. Yeah, in first MDP, in coming days, we will be covering networking and internet connectivity. So by attending that session, you will get how we can access through internet, how we can access our remote servers. So this I can confirm, you are getting free access to AWS account. So once you set up AWS account for the 12 months, 750 hours per month. So that means 750 hours of CPU computing power. So you can run multiple machines in AWS cloud. So if you are running 2 machines at a time, so this is divided by 2. So if you're running only 1 instance, so that means that instance you can run up to 750 hours per month. So for creating this account, you can use this link, create a free account. So I would suggest everyone to set up this free AWS account. The sign up procedure is very normal, like creating an email account. So you can use this link. I will share in the chat box. I'm just checking again. So just make sure that you have created this AWS account before attending the next sessions, like from Monday, because from Monday, when interact with ChatGPT is going to give you some steps to be followed. So that steps we are going to apply on this AWS instance. So I will use my account. So yeah, that at that time when I apply the steps in the AWS instance, you can also do it in your AWS account. So please make sure that you have this account before attending the next section. Can someone confirm me the link is accessible from your end? I'm just trying from my end. Are you getting the same page? Like create a free account? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, someone says already have AWS. Okay, then perfect. Yeah. So you are ready for the next sections. Yeah. Okay, so this is important. You need a lab. And also, I'm planning to give you some free labs. I mean, in addition to this AWS account, yeah, that you can use in your AWS free account. And also, I can give you some free labs from Red Hat, which will help you to do some practical sections on some of the topics from MDP 1. But in MDP 2, yeah, you need a AWS account, because this is more about advanced topics like storage, network administration, like firewall configuration, then containerization. So MDP2 needs AWS. Yeah, the MDP2, all topics need AWS account. In MDP1, yeah, for the first section, yeah, we can manage with some free labs from Red Hat. But from user group management, I mean, process management, networking and internet connectivity, yeah, I would recommend using AWS account. Also, another reason, like our workloads are running in cloud-based environment. So it is better to have cloud-based experience. See, you can run your server in a physical machine. Also, you can run it in a cloud environment. So what is the advantage, or what are the advantages of running our servers in cloud-based servers? So point number one, if you run your server in a physical environment or physical in our own data center, so we call it a data center. So we have to manage the network connectivity, the power management, cooling systems, etc. So we have to take the entire system management. But if you run your servers in a cloud like AWS, the network, power management, yeah, these main things will be covered by the AWS or the cloud provider. So we just need to run our instances in a cloud environment using some protocols. We interact with this virtual machine. So from your system, from anywhere in the world, we just interact with the servers and manage our things. Okay, so setting up a Linux system or Linux lab, that is second point. So we chose a Linux distribution, that is Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Then setting up a Linux system, then we start learning basic Linux commands. Like, see, in a graphical environment, we use mouse, then we can double click and open the directory, right? But in a Linux administration or a server administration, we recommend using command line, complete command line like this way. I'm just switching to my terminal. Yeah. This is one of my instance terminal. This is not running in my system, which is running in AWS Mumbai data center. So I am accessing this terminal remotely. Then I can type the commands here. So for example, if I want to see the content of this folder, I just need to type ls command. Or just to clear the window, clear. So that is next thing, learning basic Linux commands. Then explore file system. If you compare with any other operating like Windows, this is different. So you need to understand the file system which is running in Linux. Then you can involve with Linux communities because Linux is open source. So there are different kind of communities available there. You can join the community. You can join forums. You can interact with these community members. Then try out different softwares because you already know installing softwares in graphical based operating system like Windows. But how we do it in a command line? So that we are going to learn. Then learn shell scripting. Yeah, that is the main advantage of using, I can say, this command line. So we can automate tasks using command line shell scripting, or in most common or latest way like automation. So using Ansible automation, we can automate things so that we don't have to repeat the manual administration, which is already configured. So we don't have to do it manually. We just create a shell script or Ansible playbook. Then we run it again and again whenever it's required. Then explore additional resources. So these are the points which is recommended by ChatGPT. So when I said I'm a beginner in Linux. So this way, we will interact with ChatGPT. Then ChatGPT will guide us with some steps for setting up the Linux task or Linux automation. Then we follow that. The same way you can apply it on your AWS environment or the free labs which is going to provide in the next week. From next week onwards, I think you already provided with this LMS, but from next week onwards, these are the topics we are going to discuss. Basic Linux administration, accessing command line, then how to get help from Red Hat Enterprise Linux through command line, then creating, viewing, editing text files using command line editor. So this is a server class operating system. So how we create users, groups, then how we control access to files, then monitoring and managing Linux process. So we use some commands to see how the processes are running in a Linux terminal or Linux server, and which process is taking more resource, like CPU memory. So like I said earlier, in servers, we run applications like web server applications or database. So this is considered as the background services. So how we control services which are running in background, we call it as daemons. Then configuring and securing SSH, so secure shell. So I just accessed the instance which is running in Mumbai data center using SSH protocol from my system. So we use SSH to connect to a remote shell securely. Then analyzing and storing logs. See, since it's a server class operating system, we need to audit the activities happening in the server. So how we can audit? So for doing the audit, we need the data. So we need the data about the activities happening in the server. So that topic will be covering that chapter. Then managing networking, how the Linux servers are connected with other servers. Because when we access the front end server, we call it the web server. The web servers communicates with the backend server to pull the data. So how the communication between front end and backend managed and configured. Then archiving and transferring files. You know, in Gmail, you can transfer file, right? I mean, you can attach file as an attachment, but if you try to attach a folder, it's not possible. So we can do things like we can archiving with compression. So we can convert a folder into a file, then we can save the space, and also we can make it easy to transfer to another system. Then installation and updation of software packages. Like I told earlier, in graphical user environment, we just download the package and double click and install it. But here it's a server. We had to be more careful before installing the packages. So we have to verify the authenticity of the packages. So that is a part of system administration. So that will be covered there. Then accessing Linux file system, like basic system administration tasks after completing the rest of the topics. So I'm just going in detail of MDP 1. think I'm disconnected from my system. This is my server. And I'm going to connect to that server again. Yeah, this is an example of how we can connect to a system remotely using SSH. So we'll see in detail in coming sessions, because we need to give more information about SSH than we go for that. But today, yeah, I'm just trying to give you some idea about most of the outcomes of MDPs here. Okay, so this is a Red Hat Enterprise Linux version 9 server. So I'm just taking an example of setting up a web server. Just a simple task. Set up a web server which displays welcome to this MDP. And that has to be available across the world. So this is a simple task. So this I'm going to do it manually using Linux commands. So just for a one server, it's fine. And also this server can manage maybe 40 to 50 users. But if it goes beyond this user range, how these technologies or how the server can manage the traffic. So in coming session, today itself, in coming demonstrations, first I will show you how manually we do this web server setup. Then with the help of containerization technology, then you will see the difference, how much less resources are utilized by the containerization than a normal operating system. So you're going to see that. Then the same task I'm going to do with automation using Ansible. So this is just to give you an idea about, okay, why you should attend MDP 1 before MDP 2 or MDP 2 before MDP 3. So this is in a logical order. So in MDP 3, we discussed about how to automate Linux tasks. How to automate Linux tasks. So in MDP 3, we focus more on automation. So before attending the MDP 3, you should know the domain, you should have the domain knowledge. So here it is Linux automation. So you must have the Linux foundation before automating the Linux tasks. For example, if I want to automate setting up a web server, yeah, I must have the idea about what is web server and how this web server is configured manually in a system, so that I can write the automation scripts for doing this task in n number of servers. This is just an example, setting up a web server. So it can be setting up a web server or database server or installing packages or any kind of system administration. In MDP 1 and 2, we discussed how we can do that task manually. And in MDP 3, with the help of Ansible, how we can do the same task with the same time in multiple servers. Like I said earlier, if one task takes 1 hour to complete in a server, if you go for manual administration, yeah, if it is at 100 servers, 100 times 1 hour, 100 hours. But with help of Ansible, we use the I can say the parallel execution of servers, so that the same time which is required to run the task in a single server is equal to the same task which is running in 10 servers or 100 servers or 10,000 servers. The only thing is we need to increase the resource availability in the control node. In Ansible, we use the topology like control node and manage host. So from control node, we manage the playbooks or the automation scripts. And these scripts will be injected to the managed host. There, the task will be executed. So this is our plan: manual administration, then how to automate using Ansible. So I'll give you some simple demonstration about this web server setup using manual administration. So for setting up a web server, you need a package called HTTPD. So don't worry about these commands. This will be covering in coming sessions, like in next week sessions. But today, I'm trying to give you some idea about after each MDP, you are expecting some outcome, right? Or what kind of skills you are going to get after each MDP, right? So I'm just trying to show you some demonstration, which demonstrates the skill set you're going to get after attending these MDPs. One of the tasks, okay? So there are different tasks we are going to cover in coming MDPs, but one of some tasks I'm covering here. So I'm just installing the package. The package installed, then the application has to be running. So for that, I'm just starting that application, HTTPD. Then I'm configuring that web content. Like I said earlier, welcome to this MDP, right? So this is how we create files. Welcome to MDP. Yeah, when I'm trying to save, I got some authentication error. And now it should be fine. So in graphical window, we just type that URL and confirm that the web server is running on all right. So that's the way we confirm that internet is working on all right. But in command line, we use curl command, curl, localhost. So it's showing welcome to MDP locally. But what is our objective? So we want to run this web server and serve this content to everyone across the world through the internet. Because this is running in AWS, we can do that easily. Otherwise, if you configure in your local system, there are too much complications like configuration in router side, configuration in firewall side. But this is running in AWS data center in Mumbai. I already installed the instance, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, then install the package, then configure the content, welcome to MDP. Now, I need to give the URL to everyone, right? Because now the server is running. The web server is running here in this instance. And this is my public IP. So the difference between public IP, private IP, or what is IP, which we'll be covering the coming sessions. This is the public IP. I'm just trying to check through my browser. Yeah, welcome to MDP. Yeah. I'm going to paste in the chat box so that you can also check. Yeah, can you just try this link and please confirm in the chat box if you are able to see this message, welcome to MDP. Yeah, please type yes if you can see this message. Okay, great. Yeah. So this is manually, I install the package, started the service, configure the content. And if I want to change the content, again, manual administration is required. Like, yeah, I'm going back to that terminal, then change the content.
Szen, there is a doubt. Would you like to take that now?
Yeah. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
𝐒𝐞𝐫𝐲, you have a doubt. Can you type it in? Can you just type it in the text box, the chat box, and we will pick it up?
Yeah, please type in the chat box. Or are they allowed to unmute and speak?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Or yeah, just type in the chat box.
Yeah. I will read it out.
Any questions in the chat box? I'm not seeing anything.
All right, Szen, proceed. If he types it in, then I will pick it up. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you continue.
Okay, so if I want to change the content, I have to manually open this file and edit the content, right? Welcome to MDP. Now, if I want to change to welcome to Linux.
There's the question. Should I install Ubuntu? I have Windows OS only.
Windows OS, okay, Windows operating system in your laptop, right? Yeah, that's fine. Because like I told earlier, we are using client operating system just to interact with the applications which is running in server operating system. So you don't need to install Ubuntu in your laptop. So for learning Linux, you can install the Ubuntu or Red Hat Enterprise Linux in AWS Cloud so that you don't need to waste your system resources. Otherwise, if you install the Ubuntu or Red Hat Enterprise Linux or any kind of Linux in your system, after that, your system is going to take the resources which is needed for running the server as well. So the architecture is, we are just running the client operating system, mainly that graphical user interface, and the server is running with the client. I mean, not client, the CLI terminal, command line terminal. Is that point clear? So you don't have to install in your system. I not installed that Linux in my system. I'm accessing the Linux terminal from a remote server which is running in AWS data center Mumbai. So you don't have to install in your laptop. So with this Windows client operating system, you can access remote server which is running in Linux, and you can learn the Linux administration as well. So that kind of practices and exercises you will be getting from Monday. So after covering each topic, so when we discuss networking and internet connectivity, you will understand from a Windows system how you can access a Linux server which is running in somewhere else. like AWS or any other cloud environment. So by attending the coming sessions, yeah, you will get the idea about how the communication is happening between Windows and Linux server. Is that clear? Any confirmation in the chat box? Jimmy, yeah, starting AWS, yeah, that is the agenda for the next day, because before that, everyone needs to have the AWS account. Are you talking about that AWS account or AWS instance? AWS account you can create using the link which I shared before. If you want, I can share it again. AWS instance, yes, yeah, that I'm going to discuss from Monday. Okay, yeah. Yes, Naufal. Okay, anyway, I'm planning to do that on Monday. Yeah, not a problem. That will take only 1 to 2 minutes. But before that, yeah, you should make sure that you have the AWS account. But launching instance is easy. Like go to ECD dashboard, then launch instance. Then give the name for the server. Instance type means how many CPU, yeah, that is how many CPU, how much memory. So you need to make sure that you are selecting only the free tier. But don't try today. Just wait till Monday, because I'm planning to have a separate workshop for setting up a web server instance with Red Hat Enterprise Linux, because you need to do it very carefully, because if you choose any other instance type, you will get charged. So please wait until Monday before I complete the demonstration or workshop on AWS lab setup that is planned for Monday. But just for giving you an overview about instance creation, yeah, we can do now. Choose the operating system, the instance type. Yeah, you must select the free tier eligible, that is 1 CPU, 1 GB memory. If you select anything else, you will get charged. So don't do it now. Then key pair, yeah, you need to have an idea about SSH. That also we will be discussing in coming sessions. Then adding additional volumes. Yes. So what I'm trying to say is, before creating an instance, you must have some idea about SSH, then storage, then SSH key pair, then instance types. So that's why I recommend everyone to wait till Monday, because you need to get introduced with the network, AWS environment, then how you can connect from your system. So even if it is a Windows system, it doesn't matter. You can connect from Windows to Linux server, which is running in AWS instance. So don't worry, that we'll be covering from Monday. But yeah, today, because you all have some questions like, okay, what is this MDP, and what are the outcomes, and what are the skill sets you're going to get after attending this MDP. So that is my objectives or agenda for today's session. Yeah, but by attending coming MDPs or coming sessions, you will get to know all these procedures or steps for running this instance in AWS. Yes. Okay. Okay, I changed the content, right? Now, locally, I'm checking welcome to Linux. So I request everyone to use the same link and refresh the content. Try to refresh the content. And yeah, now it's changed to Linux. Yeah. So if you are a beginner in AWS or a Linux, yeah, you will get a surprise, right? So without using any extra resource, you created a simple web server without utilizing any extra resource like CPU or memory or power, right? It's completely free. Yeah, just for setting up a single web server, it's fine. But what about thousands of web servers? That is the outcome of MDP3. So by attending MDP1, you'll going to clearly understand the basic Linux administration manually, like I did just now. Manual installation of package, manually starting services, manually configuring configuration files, then serving the content. But when it comes to multiple servers, we need automation. And also the cloud. And if you think beyond that, which means a single application can be divided into microservices. So just take an example of, I can say, Amazon e-commerce. So when you search something in e-commerce, it is served by one service. We call it as a container. When you check out, it is served by another container. So what is the advantages of container? That's what I'm trying to say. Or what is the advantages of using microservices? Or what is the advantages of using DevOps methodology? Instead of running a single application in a single instance, if we divide it into microservices, or just like, instead of doing one activity by a single person, if we do with multiple persons, yeah, the load balanced and also the scalability, right? If one goes down, there is someone else to continue the task, right? So load balanced and scaled. So that is the point which we are going to discuss in MDP3, Gateway to DevOps. But before getting into this topic, Linux, manual Linux administration, advanced system administration, then how to automate, then we enter into DevOps methodology. In DevOps methodology, we use technologies like containerization, container orchestration, then integration with the different technologies. Yeah, but for understanding that, we need this basics, Linux and automation. So there is a question from Deepa. I'm an electronics engineer without any knowledge of Linux. Can I follow this MDP? Absolutely. Because MDP1, as I said earlier, it's for beginners. From Monday onwards, or from Monday, I'm going to start with basic Linux command, like how to create a file in a Linux. I hope you know how to create a file in a Windows desktop or a Windows folder, but that is through GUI. The same thing how we can do it in a command line. So creation of a file, creation of a folder, deletion of a folder, from basic commands to automation of Linux tasks. I hope that's clear, right? Yeah. So if anyone have the question like Deepa said, if you are an electronics engineer, or even if you are a, because from my experience, I can say that recently students got placed as a DevOps engineer. But if you look into that basic qualification, it may be BSc Physics or BSc Chemistry or BSc Psychology. So what I'm trying to say is the passion towards this technology. If you have interest or passion towards the technology, so with MDP1, you are getting introduced with the Linux, and you are getting interactive sessions. Like you can ask me questions like why you should learn in Linux, or why I should get. You can ask like, okay, why I should get trained on this topic. So why it's so relevant in DevOps, or why DevOps is so relevant, or why containerization or container orchestration, automation. So we can have an interaction or we can have a discussion. So after completing each session, like from Monday to Friday, we will be discussing different topics, right? So each discussion, you can ask yourself, what is in it for me? So which means, okay, what we can do after learning the skills. So that kind of case study discussions we can plan after getting these topics introduced with you all. Yeah. So it's going to be more interactive. First, I will introduce one topic. Then I will demonstrate. Then in next day, or before coming into next day, you can work on in your AWS lab or a free lab available from Red Hat. Then based on your practical experience in these labs, the next day, you can ask me questions or you can share your feedback. So based on that, we can have a discussion. Because by combining all your experiences, all your feedbacks, others also get benefit on that. Also, I'm planning to run some self-assessment. That is just for your self-assessment, how good in or how good in your progress in learning Linux. So that also we can plan in coming days, and with the help of automation, how we can evaluate. So that kind of activities we have planned in coming sessions. So yeah, so don't worry about your background. Normally I say, if you are a user, if you are a computer user who uses system to interact with the email or interact with the social networks, that kind of experience is more than enough to start with MDP1. So MDP1 Linux basics, MDP2 Linux advanced, then automation, then you are entering into DevOps methodologies. Then we can go deeper into DevOps tools. Then yeah, you'll get to know that what are the different DevOps tools available, open source tools available, what are the DevOps tools used in enterprise level. So that kind of discussion we can have that. So another question from others. I'm only a beginner in automation. Is Ansible another CA like Jenkins? Others, Ansible, we call it as a configuration management tool. Configuration management tool means when you install some package, you are actually creating some configuration, right? Or when I change the content, I change some configuration file. So we use Ansible to automate this process. So that's why we call it as a configuration management tool. But Jenkins is for some other purpose, like in DevOps, we use integration purposes. So both are different. I hope others that is clear. Yeah.
Yes, MDP3 is in September. Okay, somebody's asked when is MDP.
Oh yeah. MDP3
will be in September. The dates will be 6, 7, 8, and then 11 to 14 September. Same timing, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Yeah. But that is for someone who knows Linux. But if you're new to the Linux, then MDP1, MDP2, then MDP3. Yeah.
For attending the sessions from Monday, please make sure you have made the payment to attend those sessions. Okay, from Monday it's the paid sessions. Okay, so you will have to pay a processing fee of ₹500. Okay, so that you get the LMS access, which has all the content to what Szen has showed, and then for or the processing of the certificates. Okay, so you have to make the payment. Also, if you plan to attend all the 3 MDPs, then you make the payment of 1,600 by tomorrow. All right. If you extend beyond that, then you'll have to pay individual fee, individual MDP payments. Okay, how to make the payment? Please see the details here. I'm going to post the details here in the chat. Okay. You have to make the payment to that account number and then send that the transaction details to the WhatsApp number that is given there. That is 9544128111. Okay, if you do that, then you will get the access to the LMS, which has all the content which Szen had shown. And also you will get the videos of each day recorded videos in the LMS. Yeah, these are the content that will be given to you. Szen, just take it to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, just take it a bit low, bit down. A little more down. Yeah, see, on the day 1, you will get all that. Click to watch the recorded session on day 1. That was yesterday's inauguration. Now, on day 2, you will. Then day 2, yeah, you will get. If you pay 1,600 rupees, you will get certificate to each of the MDPs. Okay, so it's not after this class you will get, after the end of the MDP. That's after we are finishing on 21st. After 21st, you will get the first certificate. Then when you finish with the second MDP, after 17th August, you will get the second certificate. You get 3 certificates basically, independent certificates. Yeah, you have a lot of content there. You have a lot of content for ChatGPT. You have ChatGPT applications. Then also you have on prompt engineering. You have a lot of content there that which you can see. Okay, the certificate will only be available to you later. Then you have the RHCSA SA1 content. All this will be accessible to you once you have the LMS access, which you get by paying the amount of rupees 500 for this MDP or 1,600 for all the 3 MDPs.
Yeah, there's a question. After all this MDP, we can take RHC exam. Yes, Alex. Yeah, with VT registration, right? Szen, yeah.
Yes, you will need a little bit of exam preparation, and then you can take the exam. No problem with that.
Yeah. Sri Varun, what about your experience with Linux?
If you have knowledge in RHCSA and all, then MDP3 you can directly go. Otherwise, you will have to. It will be better you attend all the 1, 2, and then go to 3.
Yeah, because MDP 1 and 2 covers the Linux administration tasks. So, yeah. Can a new person join this MDP for next week course? Yes.
It will be better if he makes the payment by just by tomorrow, and then he can join by Monday. No problem.
Okay, so you are you are a Linux admin. Okay, then perfectly you're okay with the MDP3 then. Yeah, if anyone need more clarification about MDP 1, 2, 3, yeah, you can You can ask me the questions if you have anything.
For
And
the
the
pricing and all, just send a mail to me.
Yeah.
I will send the details to you. Those who require the exam pricing, please send a mail to me. I will send you the details. Whatever you get with the exam.
Yeah, so that we start with the basics of containers. Then I will give you the introduction to container orchestrations like OpenShift, because OpenShift is an enterprise container orchestration platform from Red Hat. So as a part of the basic Linux administration, we'll start with creating containers using Podman, Docker. Yeah, then we move on to introduction to OpenShift as well.
I've shared the mail ID there. Please, those who want to ask me can.
Yeah, Sridhar, the containerization is on MDP2. Okay, MDP3 is automation. The container topic is on MDP2 containers.
Okay, somebody has asked how to get LMS access. I'll paste that again.
Yeah.
To get an LMS, you'll have to pay the processing fee. Okay, 500 rupees for this MDP. If you're paying for all the 3 MDPs, it's 1,600. You get a 20% discount. Okay, that's 1,600. If you're paying individually, then it comes to 2,000. So better pay it in on one go. Then you get a 20% discount of 1,600. You need to make the transaction and show the transaction. Send the transaction details to the WhatsApp number given. Account number is mentioned there: 0144053000016192. IFSC code SIDL 1234 zeros and 144. Need to pay to Marian College.
Yeah, please post your questions in the chat box. I didn't like to this. Okay. Okay, we just done that manual administration to set up a web server. But using container orchestration like OpenShift, how we can set up this web server with high availability and scalability. So that also I would like to demonstrate today. So that skill set you are going to get after attending MDP2, because in MDP2 last, you will get introduced with the containerization. Then how container orchestration will help us to manage thousands of containers or thousands of processes without any kind of manual administration process. Okay, so I'm going to introduce a concept called S2I. S to I, source to image. We know that developers creates source code, right? So if we need to run an application in an environment, we use the source code to design our application. So the developers create this application source code, then we just throw the source code into the cluster or this container orchestration cluster. With that, we can configure auto scaling and load balancing as well. Okay, anyway, I'm going to show you that a simple web server. So after that, you will get a feel like, okay, difficulty in managing web servers. I mean, thousands of web servers with manual administration. But it doesn't mean that learning Linux administration is not relevant. Learning the Linux administration is relevant because without having the domain knowledge, we can't understand how the thing's going to be run. Otherwise, just you just or if you just automate the process, you're not knowing what is happening in the background. So it's important to have an idea about what is happening in the background. So that's why we give more importance on MDP1 and MDP2, even though practically we do Ansible automation, but the knowledge, the domain knowledge, Linux automation means the Linux domain knowledge. That is important. So that's why two MDPs for Linux administration and one MDP for automation. So the two MDPs cover new topics, how to configure what is happening in the background. Then in MDP3, we just automate it. So I'm just trying to convince you that the importance of having the idea of basic Linux administration, even though in production environment we use automation tools to run our application. So just making sure that. Okay, I'm just accessing my OpenShift cluster. Just give me a minute. Okay, this is my cluster dashboard. I'm just going to create a new project. MDP. It must be lowercase. Okay, so I have my source code in GitHub. GitHub is a place where I can keep my source code. This is a Node.js, I mean PHP source code. It says a content, welcome to, not welcome to MDP, it's hello world PHP version. Okay, first we will display this content, then we change it. Okay, so this is the content now. Hello world PHP version is the version of the PHP. So this is my source code of PHP, and this is the URL. So which means someone or some developer created the source code. So now I'm going to deploy this in my OpenShift cluster. So here I have the option like import from Git. So that means the developer developed the source code. I'm just pasting the link of the source code here. See, it's automatically detected the builder image. So which is here. It's automatically detected that it's a PHP, then context directory, that is PHP hello world. PHP 7.4 is automatically detected. Yeah, the things like what is UBI, what is this resources deployment config. Yeah, we need to discuss after covering the basics of Linux. But here I'm just trying to run an application, and I'm going to make sure that this is accessible across the world. So I know you all are attending from different locations. Yeah, so I will share the link. So with this, I can manage any kind of traffic, even if it is 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, I can manage it. So I can challenge you that, yeah, you can just try to make more traffic into my server. Okay, so let's see how successful you are in making more traffic into my server. So I'm going to share the link now. Okay, just hello world. Okay, that's fine. I'm pasting the link in the chat box. Yeah, just try to access this link. Are you getting this message? Hello world. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, now let's see the utilization of resources. So this is a container. This is my container. This container is lightweight than the normal server. Still it's accessible, right? It's not this one. Yeah, it says one pod. If I want to increase the number of container or number of pod, I can do it manually here, but we can automate it. But for that, we need to configure the auto scaling. Yeah, that kind of things we will cover in MDP 213. So 2 ports means it is being served by 2 containers. So which means if one goes down, I can make it down by deleting it, right? So I can go to action and delete the port. Still, my application is available. And it automatically creates a new one. So we can say it's like a self-management and self-healing. If one container goes down, automatically a new container creates. But you may have questions like, okay, well, how these things are managed? But I cannot say it directly, like without using some technical words. I cannot. But before or to understand the technical words, because everything is based on Linux, then advanced terms, then automation. So these what containerization, container orchestration, which is a part of MDP2. MDP2 last section, yeah. Still accessible, yeah. So just imagine this is a web server which is being used by 1,000 or 10,000 users, or maybe sometimes 100 or sometimes 1,000 or sometimes 10,000 or sometimes more than that. If we do it manually, we have to manually increase and decrease, right? But we can automate it. We can automate like auto scaling. Whenever more traffic comes into the application, we can configure like between 2 to 10, which means minimum 2, maximum 10. If the traffic or if the number of containers or number of port is not enough to manage the current traffic, it will automatically increase the container by 1. Then, or I can write a script like if the CPU threshold is more than 50%, create another one. So from it starting from 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 10, or you can increase to 15. It depends on our automation script. So 24/7, it will run. We don't have to worry about at what time the traffic comes and goes out. It will automatically manage by increasing and decreasing the number of ports. So currently it is managed by 2 container ports or 2 container services. Yeah, but we can increase manually or we can automate it. Yeah, I'm just showing some benefits or relevance of DevOps knowledge, container knowledge, container orchestration knowledge. So we are using our online applications, which is being served by this kind of technologies like container orchestration, and some other DevOps tools. Yeah, but everything is based on Linux. So this cluster is running on Linux. If I go to, now I am in developer mode. If I go to administrator, compute, nodes. Yeah, there are different nodes available here, which is based on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So even though we are interacting with the dashboard, it doesn't mean that this is a client operating system. Dashboard is useful when I do some demonstration. But if you really want to become a DevOps engineer or a cloud architect or cloud engineer, yeah, you need skills on command line. Then why I am showing this dashboard, just to convince you that okay, how the technology, how this container orchestration is so relevant in application deployment. Just for that purpose, otherwise we use command line automation scripts. Yeah. Any question pending in the chat box? Is it code automatically deployed in server? Yeah, we can make it automation, right? Yeah, we can make it, but now I manually deployed it. We can do it automatic. Automatic in the sense, whenever there is a change in the source code, we can automate, like, okay, if there is any change in the source code, it automatically reflects in the production, I mean testing environment. And if that is fine, then we can move on to the production environment. Yeah, we can automate. Is there any other question unattended?
No, sir, no more questions.
Okay. Will this platform be purchased? Yeah, yes, Jimmy. Yeah. So just for introduction, I show this dashboard. Yeah, but this is an enterprise product, right? Yeah. Yeah, as a part of Red Hat Free Lab, I can arrange in coming days. Not an issue. So coming days, we can arrange lab for to taste that technologies like container orchestration and all. We can arrange. I can arrange that.
So there's one question. Jimmy George is asking that the credit card is asked for credit card when signing up for AWS. What do you?
Where? I asked for credit card to sign up for AWS. Yeah, to sign up AWS account, just to confirm that you are a human. I mean, you know, right? For online confirmation, they will ask for credit card or debit card information, just to confirm that okay, you are a genuine person trying to access this free resource for learning purpose, because this is given for learning purpose. Maybe it may take 5 rupees or something like that. Yeah, it's safe. It's safe. Yeah, once you create the account, please wait till Monday. Okay, so don't run any instance or any kind of resource. Just make sure that you have the AWS account before attending the Monday session. So rest everything I will be covering on Monday session, because Monday session is completely for setting up the lab, then networking between your system and AWS and all. So that's what I just gave you, that account creation link. And if you don't use that resources, then don't worry. So please wait until my instructions from next class. Yeah. Yeah, any other questions? Yeah, this is what I planned for today. Explain details about each MDP's outcomes, the skill sets you are going to get after attending these MDPs. Yeah, if you are clear, fine. Otherwise, you can clear by asking questions. Yeah. Szen, anything else to add from your side?
No, Szen, no.
Okay.
Are you done from your side, Szen?
Yes. Yeah. These
Right.
are the contents. Yeah, I planned for delivering today. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Then I think we will end for today. All right.
Yeah.
I will just put the details again for accessing the LMS. That means from Monday, it's going to be a paid process. So you need to pay that amount of 500 for attending the third day onwards, or you pay 1,600 for all the 3 MDPs. All right. And you need to make the transaction and send that copy of the transaction slip to the WhatsApp number that is mentioned there. Okay. So if you make the payment by tomorrow, you get a 20% discount. That means you only have to pay 1,600. Otherwise, you pay individually. You pay 500 plus 700 plus 800. That works out to 2,000. Okay, so then you don't get the discount. So if you pay by tomorrow, then you get the discount. All right. And those who are paid 500 today, by today, if you pay by tomorrow, then you just have to pay 1,100 more, and you can get all the 3 MDPs. Okay, you need to pay that amount to the account number which is mentioned here. That's 01440534 zeros and 16192, and I will have the code SIDL 400144. Okay, account name is Marian College, Bank is South Indian Bank Pyramid. Okay, so we will end for today, and then we don't have the MDP tomorrow. The next MDP will be on Monday, same time, 7 p.m. Please make sure you join at sharply at 7 itself, so that we can start on time, and we'll have a wonderful session there. Then we'll cover all those things pertaining to RHCSA SA1. Okay, and that integration with ChatGPT. All right, everybody, have a good evening, good night, and we will see you again on Monday.